Hi there everybody, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. We're doing a live shaker card. I'm just going to check in on my iPad to make sure that I'm live and so I can see all your comments. Let me know if you're here. Hiya Karen, hope you're okay. So this is today's shaker card and I've popped just a few little sequins in the middle. When I recreate this, I'm actually going to do it as a birthday card because I have a birthday coming up, so I thought that I would do it as a birthday card. It's using the So Much Love stamp set. This is from the annual catalogue of Stampin' Up. And just as a little notice to start off with, if you join Stampin' Up during September, they are giving you, as well as getting £130 worth of product for £99, they are gifting 2 stamp sets as a thank you as well, and this is one of the stamp sets. It's this one and Queen Anne's lace, but I thought I'd use this one to show people what you can get. Hiya Audrey, hope you're okay. Oh, I'm sorry you're still poorly, Karen. Oh, I meant to message you about that. I'll send you one afterwards. But hopefully you feel better soon. Audrey, how was your dinner last week? So for this one, I've actually done 3 of the flowers. This stamp set doesn't come with coordinating dies, so I have stamped, coloured and fussy cut them out. So just to let you know, I already have some fussy cuts here, but I am going to show you how to stamp and how to colour them out. Okay. I've also used the Stitched So Sweetly dies. That's what's created this frame here. So hopefully you can see I've got a white frame, a pink frame and a white frame. And I've used these 3 dies for those. So when you go on the Stitch So Sweetly dies, you've got these lovely labels here that are stitched in, but you've also got these here which are all frames. And that's what I've used for that. So let's get started. Hi Shirley, hi Nikki. I hope I've said that right. I don't want to offend anyone by saying their name wrong. So with these dies, what I've done is I've took a sheet of cardstock that is 14.5 centimetres by 10.2, and I have die cut it out already. So that's using the largest of the stitched frames. Okay, and I will pre-warn you, when you are using these frames, run them through your die cut machine just a couple of times. I did it the first time and I'll just show you. It caught this bit but not quite this, so I got a door. So just run it through a couple of times and it will come out then quite crisp. Okay, so that was using the largest frame. The next frame down was on the, and bear with me because I always get this wrong, and I know you lovely lot taught me how to say it the other week but I still can't remember. So I'm going to go with Rococo Rose, and hopefully I've said it right this time, and that's the next frame. And what I will say is you want to die cut them out with at least 1 centimetre or ½ an inch around, because that is going to be layered behind this one and you want to stick it down. So make sure you don't die cut it right at the top. You're going to want to leave a good sort of ½ inch around so that you can stick that behind there. And then finally I have die cut the next one down, which is the 3rd largest, from a piece of Whisper White again. And again I've left a gap because this is going to go behind the pink one. I'm still getting there with saying it. But yes, I'm going to stick that behind there, so you do want to leave a gap. And hopefully that's my demonstration of all the dies, because I can't fit my die cut machine on my table. So it's the largest rectangle, the next one down, and then the next one. Okay. I'm going to pop those to a side and start on my flowers. So I'm using this one here, which is the smallest stamp set, and in Nika. Hopefully that's right. I'm really bad at saying things, do apologise. Hi Colleen, hope you're alright. And I'm going to grab a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock so that I can get these stamped on. And I'm doing 3 of them, and I'm using Memento ink. Just to pre-warn you as well, when you make this one, you get these lovely inserts that come from the frames. They're stitched inside and they look really nice, and I'm going to use those for the live next week. So if you do make this one, keep hold of your bits of paper because they will feature on the card next week, just before you make it and throw it away. So you need 3 of the roses. You could use a slightly bigger one if you wanted to. I like the slightly bigger one, is my favourite, but it takes up more of the window space. So just bear that in mind if you're going to use that one. Hi Norma, how's things going over there? I haven't heard much of the fires this week. It's still smoky, is it? We seem to be back on coronavirus news again. Pop a pound in the pot, I'm not liking hearing that. So the colours that I use for this one are Ratio Rose, Rococo Rose. I will eventually master this, by the way. And Just Jade. I know, Audrey, who throws... Exactly. I have lots of little bits and pieces. I just can't do it. I've got a drawer full of all different scraps, and I keep saying I will tidy them, but it doesn't really happen. Okay, so I'm going to do the leaves first, and I'm going to do the dark on the top half, like that. No, I'm not back at work. Well, no, I'm not really back at work. We have a meeting this week, which I'm going to, but we've popped it in a hotel. And then we were talking about hopefully going back sort of 1 day a week. It is really disjointed, to be honest, working from home, because it's don't get me wrong, it was lovely to start off with no commute and everything else, but sometimes you miss you know, working with other people, or 2 people's doing the same jobs because there's not the communication level and stuff like that. So we were talking about starting back 1 day a week, but where I am, Birmingham Solihull went back into sort of a midway lockdown last week, and I'm really not sure what's happening again this week. I think we've got another announcement being made on Tuesday. So I suppose that might stop the 1 day a week. I'm not really sure. Still ash in the air, but not local to us. Oh, what is wrong with 2020? Because Australia had really bad fires at the start of the year, didn't they? You've had this one. We just seem to have had... it's not been a good year, has it, at all, for anyone, really. I know, Shirley, I've been really trying to practice with this, but knew I'd still say it wrong. But I really wanted to use this colour today. Oh, Audrey, you're going to Basingstoke. Oh, my old job used to have an office in Basingstoke. I think you'll be okay, because it's... From what I've... everybody's down to this 6 thing where you can't meet more than 6. But Solihull and Birmingham last week went into, to be perfectly honest, I'm getting a little bit confused. We now can't mix with any other households other than if we're in a social bubble, or if we're sort of working / schooling. I think you can still go out and mingle with people in, say, like parks or restaurants, but you can't have anybody in your back garden still, and you can't have anyone in your house. And then the north of England followed that, I think, at the end of last week. But I think the rest of England seems to be okay at the moment, I think. But do you know what? Every single day there seems to be new news, and I'm really just getting confused. So with the dark one, I'm going over, and I'm purposely going over the lines with this. So you know where the leaves are folded? I'm going to go around each leaf, or, well, petal, sorry. So I'm on the outside of it. Okay, so normally I'd tell myself off because I've gone out the lines, but keep going. Yeah, no, I think you'll be. I think it's. You're all right with Basingstoke. I haven't really heard that, and I don't blame you. It's so hard not seeing everyone, isn't it? I bet he's really looking forward to seeing you. So I'm also just going around the edges of the petals as well. This did take a little bit of time blending them all in, but I really love this rose, and I think if you're going to do it correctly, you're going to make it look all lovely, right? Okay, so that's sort of the lines I've gone quite deep. And then just one of the petals on the buds I've done in the dark as well. Just going around these bottom ones again. There we go. Oh, that's okay, Colleen. I found nowadays you don't go very far without hearing the dreaded C word. So I can't understand it. The new house, I don't know whether I mentioned you, the house just up the road had a new little one. And they came round with the baby today. Oh, it was so tough. You just want to go and pick him up and squid. I mean, she was only like so tiny. She needed a little cuddle, but you couldn't do it. So then I'm going over with the light, and I'm just going over quickly, like really quickly with this on the brush tip, just to make sure that I've got the colour on. And then I'm going to come back and do focused work with the bullet tip instead. Okay, so it's like that to start off with, but then what you want to do with the bullet tip is you want to go over all of the dark pieces, doing little circles, and just feeding that dark colour out. And the more you go over with the light, the more it will blend the two colours in. So it then looks like that. Audrey, I've just got your response, and my YouTube's popped up to say that you used a naughty word, and do I want to allow it? Because you And I looked at it for 2 seconds thinking, well, what's it picked up being naughty there? I've just allowed it, by the way, with her dog. Isn't that amusing? I didn't know it had like word review on it and anything, but at least with a puppy you'll be able to pick him up and munch him. I love little puppies. Okay, so they're going to start to look like that, and I'm just going to do that all the way over. I do enjoy playing with the blends. I could sit and just do this all day. I could quite happily have loads of images all coloured in and probably not make any cards with them. In all fairness, what I've been doing with my videos recently, because I haven't wanted people to keep sitting through me fussy cutting out, I've actually already cut a lot of the bits beforehand. So then once I re-stamp it and colour it in, I've been cutting them and popping them in the cases so they're there, and next time I go to use the set I open the case and I've already got stuff that's already coloured and cut, and that's been a really good time saver. So I'm just blending them all in, but I'm leaving that sort of white space. I know it's not white because it's got the original layer of the light on, but it looks whiter. I'm just leaving the faded bit. Because I thought these sort of petals are more like a vintage rose, really, aren't they? Like, you know, when you see those really nice sort of faded roses. And the more you go over, the more you'll build the colour up on certain leaves and just make them really pop out. Okay, and then for the buds, I'm just going over lightly. You can also get the same effect if you use the colour lifter. So we have a white colour lifter with our blends, and you can use that out and it will also bleed some of the colour out. But I find doing this is quite nice as well, and getting the different shadings in. But if you did put too much on and want to draw it out, the colour lifter is pretty good. I'll just show you, means I'm not using this one because I want them all to be the same. If I just run this over the petal here, it'll just bleed some of that colour out so you can see them against each other. Okay, and then once you've done them, you just want to chop them out, and there's the 3, and then that one can go in this box for when I want to use it again. See, it is, it's really saving me some time, that. Okay, for the frame, I'm just going to grab my mini guillotine and chop the edge bit off. I just used some scrap, and I want this to sort of be the same bit. Now I've got another comment that's held for review, and it's Shirley's comment that's held for review, and it said, did you fussy cut the flowers? I don't know why that went into review. I think YouTube's doing something funny today because there's nothing there that's... but yes, I did. Just lightly round, because we don't have dies for this set, unfortunately. So I like fussy cutting and watching the TV. And I've... where's my glue? I've worked out how to use the record button on my Virgin Media box, so I've been recording box sets now and of an evening sitting and watching them back and doing some fussy cutting. So as you can see, they're all just going to layer on top of each other like that. And then once I've got them layered, I'm going to pop my flowers on them. Before I pop them on, I've used this sort of spray here. So this is this bit here that's just on the side of the stamp set, and I'm going to use Smoky Slate with that. Now for the outside frame of the card, I've used Smoky Slate just where the flowers are, but on the inside I've used Smoky Slate, and it's a double generation stamp, so I've like stamped it off first and then stamped it on there. So I'll show you how I did those. Hi Carol! Oh, thank you, lovely to see you. So I'm going to just work out where I want my flowers so I know where to put my my little dots. And if you know me, you know I'm going to do this before I even do it. I'm going to pop a piece of scrap paper just behind so I don't get my grid paper dirty. Do you know, I did this on a video that I was filming earlier. I did I can't remember what video I did. Oh, I think it might have been one of my Saturday series for next week maybe. And I popped my scrap paper down and I stamped around it and still managed to get my grid paper. And I don't know how I did that. So I'm just keep checking where my flowers is, because I don't want to have it all the way around. I want it just to be peeking out from the sides of it. So once I've got my two edges, I can just fill in the gap like that. My flower will go on just like that, and then flip it and do the other side. Hiya Karen, hope you're okay. Thank you for the reminder this week, by the way. My Karen Bradley's in my team, as is the other Karen Tilly actually, and on my team group we have monthly challenges. So I have a challenge album and we set challenges, and just everyone makes like either a card layout or a colour sketch and things like that. And it's midway through September and I'd totally forgotten, so yeah, she reminded me. We've got one in there now. So with this, I'm now going to stick this underneath. So I'm going to pop just a little bit of glue around the very far edge, and I'm going to the far edge just so it doesn't squish out. Sometimes when I use liquid glue and I layer it down, the glue squishes out the side. So this is a good way of making sure that it's not going to do that where I will see it. Stick that down. So there's the start of my frame. And then I've got the white one, which is going to go in there, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Yeah, I probably did get carried away, Shirley, on there. I'm pretty much like that. I get a bit blinkered when I'm crafting. Oh, you'll all laugh as well. It might have been the same video. It was one of the videos. I wasn't sure with what I was doing, and I asked the camera, you know, like I do on the lives, like, well, should I do this or should I do that? And I waiting for someone to respond. I think I've got so used to doing the lives, I was really shocked when no one replied back. I enjoy the interactions of the lives. So yeah, if you see that video, you'll know that I meant all of you guys. What should I do? Okay, I'm just going to pop my silicone mat, because as I said, a little bit of the glue has popped out, but it's popped out on that side, so just in case it sticks, I pop it like that. And then I'm going to pop the flowers as I had sort of decorated around them earlier, with one on the top and one on the bottom. When you've popped them up, just look where you're going to need to glue them, because if you pop the glue here, it's not going to stick because obviously there's no card there. So you want to go sort of around the bottom and around the edges. Okay, and then stick it on. And as this is pretty much a mirror image, it's going to be kind of the same place to glue. Oh yeah, it's definitely a good set to get. I haven't used it that much on many of my videos, just purely because I love doing different blending effects, and sometimes I think it takes time, and I think people will just get bored of watching me colour. Perhaps I should use it a bit more because it is beautiful. And then with this one here, I have popped this one behind, so it looks sort of like it's popping out the back. So that just goes behind the frame. Sort of there. Okay, so for that bit I'm just going to bend each bit up now I've checked where I want it and pop the glue underneath. Just so it looks a bit more 3D. You could have done it with dimensionals if you wanted to, so it looked even more 3D and had all of the frames coming out. The reason why I didn't is because when I pop the shaper card behind, it's already going to be standing up sort of two lots of dimensionals, and if I wanted to post it, it would have made it a bit too fat. But if perhaps you weren't posting it, you were giving it as a handmade card and wanted to make it deeper, you could always set the frames up on different dimensionals and really pop the card up, and that would look a proper tunnel. Okay, now this is where the fun starts, and it is fun because I need to do something with these. When I use my window sheets, I try and cut them to the right size beforehand, and then I put it on my desk, and partway through filming I've lost the window sheet because you can't see it. So I do need to just put a mark in the corner or something on them, stick a bit of washi on. But that now sticks onto the card, so that will stick on. I've cut mine at 3 3/4 inches by 4.5 inches, and that covers the frame. I mean, it comes to this size on here, this bit on here, and it goes to both edges, so that well covers, but you want to make sure the whole frame fits. So I'm just going to pop the glue now, and you want to make sure it's pretty tight onto each bit. So I'm just going to go around in a square so that I know it's on and it's okay. And I'm putting a bit of glue on there and making sure it's stuck well, purely because with the shaker part behind the card, it's actually quite a heavy card front, and I don't want the front to fall off. So just making sure it's stuck down nicely. Now, I know I've done a shaker card before for my lives, so I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. Before, I used the foam strips, so Stampin' Up do foam strips. We also do foam sheets that you can also die cut out and stick on the back. But I'm going to do this for people who haven't got those but just have our basic supplies, and I'm going to use my dimensionals. Because when you've finished a sheet of dimensionals, you always have these long bits around the side. Now I normally chop them up and use them as mini dimensionals, but they are also great for shaker cards because you've got the straight edge. So just in case you haven't got the foam sheets or the foam strips, I know not everybody has them, these work just as well. Okay, so again, I'm going to stick really close to the scalloped edge. There's no point in popping the foam here because you're going to want your shaker only in the section you can see, and you don't want to lose all of your sequins. If you see, mine's resting on the top of my flowers. You don't want them to hide behind, otherwise you'll never see it. So you want to go as close to the visible section as possible. So if I just, you can whip all of that off. And I'm going to go as close to the scallop bit as possible, but you don't want to leave any gaps. You want this to be really joined up. Okay, so I'm going to come across with this now, and I'm going to pop it across my rows. And with these dimensional bits, you can bend them. You see? So I've made myself a nice little wall that's bent around my rows, so I'm not going to be having a load of sequins drop here where I'm not going to see it. And just so long as they are continuous and don't have any gaps, otherwise you're going to lose your sequins. One little bit just in there to cover that gap, and it's done. So my sequins now should just stay in my little contained box. So for that, I need a sheet of Whisper White cardstock to go on the background. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my ruler and measure what my sheet was underneath, because I never even thought about that. And it's about 4 inches by about 3. So I'm going to cut that down. You just want this to stick directly onto the dimensional foam there. Okay. And what I've done on the background is I've still put these little dots. So I'm going to stamp on and stamp off those so they're a little bit lighter. So for that, I'm going to stamp it on the sheet of cardstock and then stamp it onto my project, just so it's a slightly lighter colour. And I'm only doing it sporadically. I'm leaving a few gaps. sort of like that. Whip all the backings off. So if you had our full sheets and you were using our full sheets of foam, adhesive foam, you would use your die cut and you'd stick it exact on. If you were using the strip, you'd run it straight. But oh, before I do that, better put the sequins in. These are the snowflake sequins, and I've used these because they are all whites, creams and glitters. But I'm also very aware that it's not a Christmas card. So I'm avoiding the snowflake pieces. I'm putting the little stars in, the circles and the normal sequins. And I am totally missing the snowflakes, which is a little bit fiddly, but it's made a little bit easier if you use the palette end of the take a pick tool, because you can scoop them onto the palette bit, remove the one you don't want, and then just drop them all into the card. Try and aim for the parts where there's no snowflakes. If you go in, you can just pull the snowflake back out again. I mean, you can use normal sequins. I just use these ones because I quite like the fact that they were white and glittery. And I think my trip earlier trying to take all of these out without the snowflakes has left me with a concentrated lot of snowflakes. This was never going to work as well when I was on video. The take a pick tool does also have a putty end, so that's really handy with the sequins. But this end worked perfectly when I made the other one. It's not working as well now. Which I suppose is typical. I mean, I'm pretty sure no one's going to sit there and look and notice that I've got a snowflake in, but I would know, and I'm a little bit OCD with things like that. And you don't need too many. It's not a massive, great big space. Oh, and I will mention this as well, actually. I noticed this. If you've got the snowflake sequins, you see this one here looks really, really fat. It's just a load of them stuck together. So if you see that, that's going to jam your shaker card up. So instead, just play with them, and they come apart really easily. But you don't want a great big fat one that's going to jam up the shaker card and stop them from shaking. I think that's enough. I haven't put loads on, but then it's a really short, small space. So pop on the card. And make sure it's stuck down really well. Any gaps and your sequins will come out, so be wary of that. And there you go. That's the front. So for the rest of the card, it's quite simple. I'm using a card base. I'm doing it tenfold. Well, it would be tenfold, but I'm turning it. So it's a thick piece of Whisper White that's cut in half and scored in half, and I'm just going to turn it round that way. And my shaker card front will go on there, and I have stuck it up on dimensionals again. CD, oh, I love that. I'm going to have to try and remember that. Okay, so for the actual shaker compartment, you pop one dimensional on, but for this bit here, you're going to want to, because you've already got the lift of the dimensionals in there, you want to put 2 dimensionals on top of each other to make it all the same height. And that's just really simple. You just pop them on like that, and pull the edge off and stick it on. And now it will just make them all the same height rather than having your card slant. I'm just going to pop a few of those on because, like I said, shaker cards are a bit heavier than normal cards. Not much, because it is only sort of sequins and card. But after I've gone to the effort of making it, I don't want it to fall apart. See, I'm getting another edge now that I can use for another shaker card. The only downside with this is there's now going to be loads of backs of dimensionals, and I hate them. hate them, hate them, hate them. Because they just go everywhere. Okay, so there's my base of my shaker card. I'm just going to grab a piece of Whisper White cardstock. I had some 2 minutes ago that I cut up for that piece. I have no idea where it's gone. Yeah, I've got some scrap there. Now, for this one here, I used You Made My Day, which was from the So Much Love stamp set that I have been using. But like I said, I want to do a birthday card for this one, so this doesn't have a birthday sentiment. So I've gone to Fancy Phrases because this has some gorgeous fonts, and I'm going to be using this one here, Birthday Wishes. Again with Smoky Slate. And I'm using this punch, which has got the ribbon bit and the bit for tags, and I'm just going to be using the middle bit. Oh. And I'm going to top that up on a dimensional. In the corner. And then I've got my ribbons and my rhinestones just to give some more glitter. So this is the metallic edge ribbon, and I'm making a teensy tiny little bow just because I think it's not glittery enough, you know. I like bling. I'm just going to chop those off quite short so it's a tiny little bow. A glue dot and my piercing end. And I pop my bow just there. And then finally, just a few rhinestones. So I pop 2 rhinestones onto the label. So there's like a little, just a little circle bit at the top here. You can probably see it better here on the flower, so I've just popped it there, but on this side, both at the top and the bottom. And then one over here. I haven't popped them on top of this grey dots, I've just popped them in between. Just think it gives them some extra glitter. You could also play with the Winker Stella if you wanted to really get some shimmer going on these. I haven't. I've left them as they are. But you could do. Okay, and that's my shaker card. What do you think? I quite like it. If you have joined me and you have crafted along, don't forget to keep hold of these. Don't go putting them on any other cards or playing with them. Keep them safe, and I'll think of something to do with them next week, and I'll feature them on my live next week so that we can show we don't have to. I do worry that people throw scraps away, and I'm not a scrap throwawayer, so I like to show you what you can do with all the last little bits of everything. But yeah, there's my card for today. I quite like it. After you've got rid of the stress of getting the snowflakes out. So thank you everybody for joining me. If you have enjoyed the project, I do sell all of the bits and pieces that I used to make this project over at my store, slimandstylish.com, and you go up to the header bar and click buy. And like I said, this set, So Much Love, is one of the sets that you can get free if you join Stamping Up in September. So if you want to join my team, just ask me about that. And everybody else, have a lovely week. If you have made it, don't forget to come over to Slim and Stylish's Crafty Hangout on Facebook and share your project so we can all see it. And if you've enjoyed the video, please do give me a little thumbs up so that it helps with my engagement overall. Very appreciated. See you all soon. Have a lovely week. Thanks everybody.